This week, Siskel and Ebert review Marissa Tomei falling for Robert Downey Jr. in Only You. John Travolta and Samuel L. Jackson are hitmen in Quentin Tarantino's Pulp Fiction. And quiz show director Robert Redford reflects on his Golden Boy past and his present-day passions.
It's fate. I just want to get a look at him, that's all.
The man I was supposed to marry is on that plane.
Marissa Tomei follows her dream lover to Venice, and maybe he's Robert Downey Jr., or maybe he's not, in Only You, one of the new movies we'll be reviewing this week on Siskel and Ebert, along with William Hurt's latest, and also the grand prize winner from the Cannes Film Festival, plus a look at two very different and hot directors, one you may have heard of, Quentin Tarantino and Robert Redford. A special show this week. I'm Gene Siskel of the Chicago Tribune.
And I'm Roger Ebert of the Chicago Sun-Times. Sometimes a movie comes along that reminds you of the glorious, silly, romantic comedies of Hollywood's golden age. And Only You is a movie like that. It's light as fluff, it's utterly preposterous, and I enjoyed every minute of it, not least of all because of its stars. Marissa Tomei and Robert Downey Jr. have the kind of effortless grace in this movie that has always been necessary to make movies like this work. As the film opens, Tomei is about to be married, but both a fortune teller and a Ouija board have foretold that the man she should marry is named Damon Bradley. So when she discovers that a Damon Bradley is on the next plane to Venice, she drops everything to head for the airport.
Get me out of this. All right, hold on. There's a million buttons. Shoot. Whoa, whoa. Okay, spin, 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 spin. No. Ooh.
Here's the meet cute where she runs into Downey.
Taxi.
You know what? I better come with you, okay? I speak a little Italian. I got a friend at the embassy. I'm gonna help you out, okay?
Oh, no, this is a personal matter.
What's his name? I'll look into it for you. If you
It's very nice of you to offer.
Why don't you just tell me his name?
Damon Bradley.
I'm Damon Bradley.
You're...
What?
Oh!
That's a first.
But is he really Damon Bradley?
I admit it, mea culpa. I just lied about one little thing.
Oh, tell your identity, one little thing. Get out of my way.
There's a scene in the movie where Tomei and Downey visit one of the same locations used in Roman Holiday, and indeed, this movie deserves comparison with those lighthearted romantic comedies of the past. It's funny, it has great chemistry between the two leads, it has breathtaking locations. This is the kind of movie where people are going to be calling up movie critics and saying, where is that place? I want to go there next summer. And, of course, you check your mind at the door when you go into this movie and just go along with the silliness. Director Norman Jewison, who handles slightly more serious romance in Moonstruck, is also a master of the comic kind, and Marissa Tomei is a great kisser.
I like parts of this movie, Roger, and Marissa Tomei is one of them, and then the locations. There is no question that the hotel vacancy in Positano, Italy,
is going to go way down.
Oh, you better order early. I was thinking about that because I saw a preview of the picture. At the same time, I just couldn't accept part of this movie. I guess it's the plotting. I had trouble with Sleepless in Seattle. When I feel I'm being forced into a formula, my back goes up.
Well,
and I did in this case. I thought that a lot of it was very contrived, including, it's not a big part of the movie, but her girlfriend, Bonnie Hunt's husband, that whole subplot, I just creaked with me.
I wasn't crazy about the subplot, but I was crazy about the plot, and, you know, people will have problems with it if they think it's going to make any sense. As I said, you check your mind at the door. This is fantasy, it's romantic comedy, and on that level, I really enjoyed myself.
What I feel that they're doing here is trying to make one, self-consciously trying to make one like the old kind.
Well,
and I don't
why
think that,
not? And if it works, then more power to them.
If it works, I agree with you. I just think that this is a film better to look at than think about. Okay, next movie, and our next film is a sincere but very minor movie. It's called Second Best, and it stars the great William Hurt as a shy and lonely Welsh bachelor who adopts a troubled 10-year-old whose real father is in prison.
We could think of it as a kind of partnership. I want a son, and you need a What I mean is you need somebody, some one person to care about you.
Much to my surprise, I never really accepted Hurt in the role. Oh, he's got the clothes right, that grubby shell over the tweed coat. But I always thought I was looking at and hearing American William Hurt playing a Brit. The big tension in the film, will Hurt's character be good enough to gain permanent guardianship of the boy? And will the boy let him? Gee, I wonder.
All I can say is, Jamie, unless you can speak to me, unless you say something, unless you can share something with me, I don't know.
Now, maybe this film would not have been made without William Hurt's participation, but he doesn't help. I would have rather seen it with an authentic British actor in the lead, and I felt that way all throughout the picture. As it now plays, second best is a routine story of tough love with a great actor who sticks out like a sore American.
It didn't bother me.
Boy.
It didn't bother me. I didn't really think of him as American. I mean, he's played many different kinds of roles in his career, and I accepted this one as another role from a very good actor.
And what did you think of the storyline? I mean,
you're right when you say it's small. It is a small picture. And I think, however, you probably would have liked it enough to give it thumbs up if it had a British actor in it. And that didn't bother me, and I do give it thumbs up.
Roger, there were no surprises in this picture. It's a put-upon situation.
It's not really about surprises. It's about relationships. It's about growth. It's about talking to each other. It's about stuff like that. Surprises would almost inevitably be contrived.
It's a formula, sweet, noble movie.
Okay, when we come back, Quentin Tarantino's much-awaited Pulp Fiction.
I'm gonna go to the bathroom and powder my nose. You sit here and think of something to say.
I'll do that.
In past commercials, we've shown you how the Nissan Altima is smooth enough to pass the infamous Lexus glass test. We've shown you how quiet its cabin is, how it's built precisely enough to pass the ball bearing test, and how the Altima can outhandle an Acura Legend LS. What else is there? Except to once again show you our logo. And this remarkable offer of just $750 down and $239 a month.
My lord, the killer was eating cookies.
Quite right.
But my client doesn't eat cookies. She eats fat-free Newtons.
Case dismissed.
A cookie is just a cookie, but fat-free Newtons are fruit and cake. Moist, chewy apple and cake. Raspberry and cake. Cranberry and cake.
Don't you hurt him!
Nobody's gonna hurt anybody. We're all gonna be like three little Fonzies here. And what's Fonzie like? Come on, Yolanda, what's Fonzie like?
It's cool.
What?
Cool.
Correctamundo. And that's what we're gonna be. We're gonna be cool.
That showdown interrupts a stick-up in a scene from Pulp Fiction, Quentin Tarantino's amazingly entertaining, outrageous, challenging, bizarre new movie. This is filmmaking of a high order, a movie that walks a narrative tightrope so complicated and convoluted that unless you really stop to figure it out, the movie seems to double back on itself. It's a group of interconnected stories involving assorted lowlives on the fringes of Los Angeles, including in this scene a hitman played by John Travolta, who was assigned to take a gangster's wife out to dinner in a restaurant that could only be in Los Angeles. She's played by Uma Thurman.
Why do we feel it's necessary to yak about bull in order to be comfortable?
I don't know. That's a good question.
That's when you know you found somebody really special. And you can just shut up for a minute, comfortably share silence.
Well, I don't think we're quite there yet, but don't feel bad. We just met each other.
Meanwhile, another thread follows a boxer played by Bruce Willis, who's won a fight he was supposed to lose and is in great danger when he runs into the last man on earth he wants to see.
It's good to see you. I must go. I know I'm a good run.
He's dead.
Pulp Fiction is charged up with the exhilaration of pure filmmaking, with colorful characters and screwy dialogue and unbelievable situations and violence and comedy, all trying to shoulder each other off the screen. Pulp Fiction is rude and crude and R-rated, so keep that in mind. It is also one of the year's best films.
I liked it very much too, Roger, and this is the first picture of his that I really have enjoyed.
Yeah.
I think this, I think it's in the past, in Reservoir Dogs, there was a lot of energy and very little humanity, I felt, in that film. I thought it was going after style. Here, this film vibrates with interesting characters, and the dialogue, I mean, it's
fun to listen to these people talking. Even Travolta's...
Yes.
Travolta has just come back from Amsterdam, and he has a whole speech about McDonald's stores in Amsterdam that is fun to listen to. The things they talk about are so quirky.
I think that this guy is writing some of the most original dialogue since David Mamet. I think that the picture is very rough. There's violence in this film that's going to put people off. But there is humor and humanity in the picture that makes it all work. It's a big he's a big talent in this film.
It's a funny thing. I've seen the movie 3 times, and the violence seems to be less important every time I see it. For example, there's a man who's killed in the back seat of a car, and if you look carefully, you don't really see the violence so much as you see the consequences, which turn out to be very
There's another scene
amusing.
of abuse and sadomasochism that is going to put people away, I'm afraid. But that's only one scene in an otherwise, really, I think,
exciting
exciting
that
film.
movie, I thought, was handled in a very particularly delicate way in order to get it on the screen without really turning people off.
Okay, coming up next, we'll take a look at the work of 2 directors, the hot Quentin Tarantino, and we'll also talk with actor-director Robert Redford about his greatest obsession as a filmmaker. Along with Pulp Fiction's Quentin Tarantino, Robert Redford is one of the directors of the moment with his latest fine piece of work, Quiz Show, one of the year's best films. It's a movie that continues the greatest theme in his acting and directing career, the beautiful image and brittle reality of the white Anglo-Saxon Protestant ideal man in American life. Redford won an Oscar 14 years ago for directing Ordinary People, a scathing indictment of cold wasp parents.
It's really important to try to hurt me, isn't it?
Don't you have that backwards?
Oh? And how do I hurt you?
An odd first film from Redford? Not really, because Redford, ever since starring a quarter-century ago in Downhill Racer and The Great Gatsby, has consistently deconstructed the myth of the wasp ideal, showing the emptiness and fear that can often lurk beneath the gorgeous exterior.
Why didn't you wait for me?
Because rich girls don't marry poor boys, Jay Gatsby.
In Quiz Show, the wasp ideal is Charles Van Dorn, part of a New England Brahmin literary elite family who cheats on a TV quiz program to achieve the kind of fame that can top that of his poet father.
Jesus, Dick, if someone offered you all this money to be on some rigged quiz show, instant fame, the works, would you do it?
No. Why are you drawn to exposing the underbelly of the wasp culture in America? More power to you, but why are you drawn to it?
I think because I can speak a little bit from reference, you know, personal reference, having been label one most of my life, having grown up in an environment that was then in later times labeled kind of the WASP center of the universe, and having very mixed feelings about all that, having very mixed feelings about being considered one and what that meant, what the connotations were, and both correct perceptions and misperceptions. So it fascinated me.
What's the truth of the matter, as you see it?
What's true is that, at least for a long period of time, I don't know about today, but for a great period of our history, I think the WASP did have a certain degree of entitlement. And what about that entitlement? What did it allow you to do, and what did it allow you to get away with? And what did it allow you to miss in terms of life's experience?
Now, coming from you, audiences might be a little shocked because I don't know that you're anyone's hero, but you are an icon. And yet, if you look at your movies, almost all the time, you're undercutting your character.
I'm always interested in the feet of clay concept, you know. And as to why that is, I don't know. Maybe it has to do with, you know, there may be some need to say, get to the truth of how things really are, having to do with how I was brought up and what legacies I was given.
Can you tell me about that? Because I remember a story you told me a long time ago where you actually met Richard Nixon. You were a young guy, you'd won some award?
They were passing out these awards to like hundreds of kids. And really
The awards weren't that big a deal. It was all to promote Boys Week. It was a frighteningly hollow experience. And that's all that went down. I didn't even know who he was. He was something having to do with something official. I didn't know what even senator meant. I just knew you were supposed to respect that, okay? So you tie that together with the kind of legacy that says it doesn't matter whether you win or lose, but how you play the game, and to find out rudely how untrue that was. And that it was very much whether you won or lost. Those legacies that turned out to be not true leave you feeling a bit ripped off.
Boy, you really don't like people in power, do you?
Well,
Look at
I've
that.
had trouble with it most of my life.
Robert Redford, to be sure, he's a classic leading man, but there aren't too many leading men in American film history who have taken the men they play to task so boldly. I admire both quiz show and the thoughtful career choices of Robert Redford.
Okay, when we come back, a look at Quentin Tarantino, who is at the center of a group of aggressive young filmmakers making a name for themselves right now in Hollywood. Earlier on the program, I said Quentin Tarantino's Pulp Fiction was one of the year's best films, and so it is. But it comes from a writer, director, actor who is still in the process of finding his voice, and who is the most visible member of a circle of young filmmakers who seem to have grown up in video stores memorizing old movies. This is a scene from Tarantino's first film, Reservoir Dogs, a $35,000 project that grew to the still low-budget $400,000 after Harvey Keitel came on board. The story involves a bunch of tough guys teaming up to pull a robbery.
If I know what kind of guy you were, I never would have agreed to work with you.
Are you gonna bark all day, little doggy? Or are you gonna bite?
The next Tarantino project to hit the screen was True Romance, which he wrote and Tony Scott directed. It was a cross-country odyssey of murder, sex, and coincidence, once again with the oddball, colorful dialogue that Tarantino writes so convincingly and that turns some scenes into parodies of themselves.
I ain't scared of you, I just don't like you. That envelope right there had some payoff money. Alabama's moving on to some greener pastures. We're not negotiating. I don't like to barter. So that envelope right there is for my peace of mind. My peace of mind is worth that much, not one penny more.
Tarantino is not afraid to bite the hand that feeds him, even to criticize it. After writing the script for Tony Scott, he did a hilarious cameo in the current film Sleep With Me, in which he plays a party guest who thinks that Scott's famous film Top Gun is actually a disguised homosexual love story.
And Ice comes up to Maverick and he says, "Man, you can ride my tail anytime!"
Meanwhile, his associates and friends are branching out with their own tough guy fantasies. Roger Avery, who collaborated on Pulp Fiction, made the recent Killing Zoe, which Tarantino co-produced. Like True Romance, it began with the hero meeting a hooker who was really a nice girl. And like Reservoir Dogs, it was about a group of tough guys getting together to pull a job.
Moses told me you're in town for business. What kind of business?
It's been a busy season for Tarantino, who is also credited with the story for Oliver Stone's Natural Born Killers, although Stone told me that the political and social stuff in the film was his, not Tarantino's, and that I can believe. And now comes Pulp Fiction, which won the grand prize at Cannes this year. Not bad for a guy who is still only 31.
How many up there?
3 or 4.
That's counting our guy?
Not sure.
So that means it could be up to 5 guys up there?
It's possible.
We should have shotguns.
The word I associate most easily with Quentin Tarantino is energy. I've met him several times, and I've always found him bursting with enthusiasm. He's so happy to be making movies, he's like a kid in a candy store. His movies don't seem to have much experience of ordinary life. His characters aren't particularly three-dimensional. They do indeed seem to be straight out of Pulp Fiction, but it's not the people he's interested in, it's the movie images they can populate. Hitchcock used to claim that his movies were about one thing only, and that was manipulating the audience. So far, that could also be said of Tarantino. But when he's on, it sure is fun.
Well, I think the writing is maybe even better than you're giving him credit for. I think it's not just that it's all a joke. I think some of the writing is, at least I feel now finally, in the first film of his that I liked, this current picture, Pulp Fiction, is that there is some humanity in the writing. What his associates have to be careful of, and we saw it with Killing Zoe, is just stunt work. Physical violence, stunt work, offbeat stuff for offbeat's sake. That's where he and his followers can get in trouble. Coming up next, our video pick of the week, A Better Love Story Than Only You, also starring Marissa Tomei.
Orville Redenbacher created a new bag so more of his big, fluffy, irresistible butterfly kernels could pop than ever before. How much more? Let's put it this way. You'll notice Orville Redenbacher's new, bigger bag. Make room for it.
Hello, Saturn?
When we put in a 1-800 number to help Saturn owners, it was surprising how much that number wound up helping us.
How about cup holders?
Suggestions came in about making the inside of the car more ergonomic and adding new colors, just to name a few. Which is why Saturns now reflect so many of our customers' ideas, as well as our own. And while we may not use all the suggestions,
But what if the car glowed in the dark?
we'll always listen.
Then you wouldn't need headlights.
Siskel and Ebert's Video Pick of the Week, brought to you by Orville Redenbacher, the first and last name in popcorn.
Now it's time for our Video Pick of the Week, and my selection this week stars Marissa Tomei, who I really like as an actress, and she's just fine in Only You, which we reviewed earlier, but I think she had a much fresher script last year in an underrated love story called Untamed Heart, playing a sweet hash house waitress who befriends a strange, silent young man in town played by Christian Slater.
When did you get here?
10?
10? That was almost 2 hours ago. You'd rather be out here with my cat than inside with with a room full of strangers and relatives.
I really felt the love and sincerity of her performance in Untamed Heart, whereas in Only You, I thought I was watching a gimmicky story based on the success of Sleepless in Seattle. Only You isn't bad, it's just that the little scene Untamed Heart is so much better, I think, and that's why I made it my Video Pick of the Week. Now let's recap the movies we reviewed on this show. A split vote on Only You. I found it to be a formula picture, but I sure like seeing Venice and Positano. Roger bought the whole fantasy. My thumb down, his up. A split vote on second best, the William Hurt adoption drama. I didn't accept Hurt as a Welshman. I thought the story was standard. Roger liked it. Again, my thumb down, his up. But we both like Quentin Tarantino's wickedly funny and moving Pulp Fiction, a wild ride through the lives of violent little boys lost. It's rated R for extreme violence and opens next Friday. So the real discovery here, Quentin Tarantino's Pulp Fiction.
That's a good picture, and so is Only You.
Says Only You.
An excellent authority. Next week, we'll be back with reviews of more new movies, including Albert Finney in the Browning version, the story of a teacher retiring after many years at a British boarding school, and also Exit to Eden, starring Dan Aykroyd and Rosie O'Donnell as cops who go undercover at an infamous island resort ruled by Dana Delaney. That's next week, and until then, the balcony is closed.
It's America's favorite jelly bean, Jelly Belly, now appearing at theaters and video stores with good taste. Jelly Belly beans, try them, you'll love them. Quit chewing tobacco with Mint Snuff All Mint Chew. Mint Snuff is made from mint, not tobacco. For a store near you, call 1-800-EAT-MINT. Hooked on Phonics teaches you to read using flashcards, music, and books. It's colorful, musical, and fun. Learn to read with Hooked on Phonics. Call 1-800-ABCDEFG. If you'd like to save up to 50% on your contact lenses, eyeglasses, and eye exams, call for a free Lens Express catalog and find out how you can start saving right away.